Returning to the free speech question, really chilling event at this weekend on Remembrance Sunday. The journalist, Telegraph columnist Allison Pearson had a knock at her door. There were two policemen. She says that they accused her of a non-crime hate incident. Essex police have since revealed that she's being investigated for an actual crime under the Public Order Act for a tweet that was put out over a year ago but has since been deleted or removed in some way. We don't even know, and Alison Pearson doesn't even know what she's supposed to have said that's caught the attention of the law. I mean, we use words like Kafkaesque and Orwellian a lot in discussions around free speech, but it's surely really warranted in this case.
No, and the caginess that seems to surround this investigation and many investigations like this. You know, you've often had situations where people are being brought in, asked to attend a police interview, as has happened in this case, without actually being told specifically what it is that they have supposedly said, which has led to the initial complaint. And how can you defend yourself on that basis? And also, I think Essex police have also been incredibly kind of tight-lipped about in this investigation, even when it's actually been reported and discussed in the public square. So there's a lot that we still don't know about what tweet this was in relation to, who might have made the complaint. It's worth saying that there's been many instances over recent times of people making complaints, particularly to public figures, kind of maliciously. There was that situation in which we had Amber Rudd having a name put down on the non-crime hate incidents blacklist because of a speech she gave, because a professor in Oxford decided that he took offence to a speech which he later admitted he hadn't actually listened to. So all of these things are swirling around, but it's deeply sinister. Certainly, I think everyone just wants some more information to work out what's going on here. But I think the unfortunate truth is that this is kind of mundane in Britain in the 21st century. I know there's been a lot more interest, and understandably so and rightly so, in the issue of people being visited by the police for things that they've said online in the wake of the past 12 months and the last 6 months, really. But at the same time, it's been going on in the background for such a long time now. You know, thousands of people a year being investigated, arrested, in some cases actually prosecuted and convicted for things that really shouldn't be crimes, which are just matters of speech and opinion. So yes, I mean, it's one of those things where we really cannot let this become normal, but it has become normal, I suppose, is what I'm saying. Yeah,
Rakib, what are your thoughts?
Well, I just find it amazing what some of our local police forces, what they actually get up to. I'd have thought Essex police would have more pressing matters at hand on the morning of Remembrance Sunday than knock on Alison Pearson's door over a tweet. I've never really liked this whole non-crime hate incident. If it's a non-crime incident, then I'm not too sure why the police prioritise these kind of so-called incidents to begin with. If you look at high streets across the country, for example, shoplifting's been de facto decriminalised because of a lack of policing presence in town centres. If you look at neighbourhood crimes such as theft and burglary, I wouldn't say that local police forces are performing very well, many of them across the country. So for me, I think that a lot of this is a fundamental waste of time. And I'd make and if I remember correctly, Sir David Emmis, who was murdered by an Islamist terrorist at a church-based constituency surgery, I believe that his daughter's not particularly impressed with how the Prevent scheme, in her view, failed her father, and also the role of the Essex police is being called into question. So I think the Essex police maybe should just concentrate on the bread and butter of keeping the public safe, as opposed to hassling Alison Pearson over what she gets up to on X.
Yeah, I mean, clearly it goes way beyond Essex. This is the view of the authorities, right? They have these, insanely skewed priorities when it comes to what they should be dealing with.
No, absolutely. And one thing that I think is slightly undervalued in the discussion, because I do understand when people say they almost feel a bit sorry for these policemen that are being sent out to enforce these crazy laws. But whereas we might not necessarily be talking about individual officers, although I'm sure that does happen from time to time, those powers being abused or those laws being stretched. This is also an issue with kind of police higher ups, with police leadership. It's very clear that there's people at the top of police forces across the country who have latched on to the speech policing identitarian script in order to try and make themselves look good, in order to, as they would see it, repair trust with ethnic minority or other minority communities. It's worth saying that even though, as we say, this particular case is no longer about a non-crime hate incident, the whole thing of non-crime hate incidents was something that was developed by the College of Policing.
Yeah.
It's not something that was etched in law and then implemented. The clue's in the name. It's a non-crime. They just came up with this system and have continued to use it in quite an Orwellian fashion, even in the face of Conservative government's attempts to clip their wings. All of the initiatives that they would engage in, I think it was South Yorkshire Police, and they had their, what was it? They had their kind of words hurt helpline that they were encouraging people to call up if someone said something offensive. The number of, I think it was in Merseyside where they were famously photographed with their kind of rainbow coloured van outside of a shopping centre, basically encouraging people to report people to the police if they'd said any kind of like hurtful speech.
What's the slogan? It was like being offensive is an offence or something along those
lines. Which unfortunately is technically true. If you look at certain pieces of legislation, the Communications Act and grossly offensive speech and so on. But they have latched onto this. There is this misconception that first of all, that this is any of their business, that speech should be any of their business, although unfortunately as a matter of law it is to an extent. But they've also, in many cases, wildly overinterpreted that. So you have all of these almost farcical exchanges, as seemingly might have also taken place with Allison Pearson, where you've got police kind of half understanding the law in order to, harass people for no good reason, because they just have got it into their heads that is what their ethnic minority fellow citizens want them to do. That they want them to protect them from offence rather than protect them from robbery and violence and so on. So that's one of the things that has made this so difficult to dislodge, is that even though there has been attempts to push back on some of these practices, you have got people in positions of leadership within the police who are pushing very much in the opposite direction.
Definitely. And it's also worth stressing, like, this isn't the first time this kind of thing has happened to a journalist as well. Fraser Nelson was in the Telegraph today talking about how either he or Melanie Phillips was recorded with a non-crime hate incident over a piece that was published in The Spectator. The police really do seem to think that it's their right now to edit the news or to edit our tweets. It's an absolutely extraordinary situation in a supposedly free society for us to have got ourselves into. And
also, just to tack onto that, it's not just non-crime hate incidents either. I mean, this investigation seems to be around incitement to racial hatred under the Public Order Act. It was under that law, from what I remember, that Darren Grimes and David Starkey were investigated over that infamous, ill-judged, to put it lightly, comment that Starkey made on Grimes's YouTube channel back in 2020s. So it's something which I think has always been threatening to really breach into the policing of generally kind of right of centre or just un-PC commentary, and we're already starting to see examples of that, definitely. So the Essex Police would do very well to explain what the hell is going on here, but there don't seem to be any prospect of that anytime soon.